Dr. Tamara Camo, and I'm here to share with you today about menopause. So, there's a disclaimer. This is my view and what I have done with some of my patients. I have an integrative approach to medicine, which means that sometimes I do things that are natural, which have not necessarily been studied by the FDA. So you should use your doctor to guide you and consult with them when you start anything new. So my talk is for information purposes only. So let's get into menopause. What is menopause? So most people have gone through puberty. I would assume that all of you have. So I will first discuss it from a puberty point of view. So think back to the day you started puberty and write that down. You can't write down the day you started puberty. You know you went through it, but you don't know what day you started. Think about the day you ended puberty and write that down. Well, you can't write that down because you don't know what day you ended puberty. You know you started, you know you finished, you don't know what day it was. You might know the first day you had your period, but that wasn't really when you started puberty. Puberty actually starts before that, when you start getting breast buds. Most people don't remember that day, but they do remember when they started bleeding and when they stopped bleeding. So, menopause is sort of like puberty in reverse. At some point, you begin the trip to menopause, and at some point, you finish menopause, but you cannot necessarily write down which day you start and which day you stop. It's a phase that we go through. Now, there are some women where I can tell them exactly what day they went through menopause. If I do a hysterectomy on you and remove your ovaries, I know exactly what day you went through menopause because I took your ovaries out and you will never get a period again. So I put you in menopause. But other people who still have all of their organs kind of know. So we've decided that menopause is your final period. If you're a normal menstruating person, the day that you have your final period, and you won't know that day until a year later. Once a year has passed and that's the end of your period, we're like, okay, that's the day that's menopause. So if I stopped bleeding on January 1st, 2021, then on January 1st, 2022, I we're in menopause. Unless we're on some sort of birth control that has stopped our cycle or had some sort of procedure that makes our cycle stop. But a normal person with all of their organs that are normally working, their final period is the date of their menopause. Some women will want to go to the doctor and say, hey, draw my blood and tell me when I'm going through menopause. All right. Well, take your daughter to the doctor and find out if she's in puberty by drawing her blood. Right. You can't do that because puberty is not diagnosed by any particular lab value, and neither is menopause. I might have a abnormal blood value of someone who's not in menopause. You might be on your way to menopause. You might be 10 years away from menopause, maybe 5 years before. You can have menopausal appearing blood values when you're not in menopause. So, to date, puberty is a phase that's diagnosed by you got your period and you grow taller and become a woman, but there's no finite dates or timing to that. And menopause, similarly, is you are no longer able to reproduce. You've had your final period. There's not a particular lab that has to go with that or a particular time frame that must go with that. We will tell you some average parameters during this talk, but there's not a finite date. It's, it would be great if I knew the answer. I could make an entire career out of that if I could actually tell people exactly what day they were going to go through menopause or stop being fertile. That would be a whole career. But right now, no one can do that. So, premenopause, if you're looking at my picture here, normal productive life, premenopause. So, this is basically your normal, this is when you're having your babies. Then you have your last regular period, not last period, regular. So it's this, we're taking the average person who has a 28-day, or maybe they have a 30-day or a normal cycle that they can sort of predict. And then one day it becomes much lighter, much heavier, too far apart, too close together. All sorts of wonky things happen for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Some, who knows what amount of time you will have irregular cycles. But you'll go through this point in time when your cycles may not be regular anymore. That would be perimenopause. Sort of like prepubescent, not puberty, but prepubescent, pre-menopause. And so those people can have symptoms like hot flashes. Hot flashes happen when you're in menopause, but they don't mean menopause, because you can have hot flashes before you actually have your final period. But definitely, hot flashes are a clue that you're somewhere in that phase of life. Then you have menopause. That means your period has permanently ceased. And then there's postmenopause. There's really no consistent definition between menopause and postmenopause. Some people say, I already went through menopause, I'm done with that. But the bone loss and the different changes that happen in the phase of menopause are still happening postmenopause. I don't really differentiate between menopause and postmenopausal. It's the same word, but yeah, once you stop your cycle, you went through menopause. You're still going through it. It never finishes. The average age of menopause is 51. It's normal for people to go through menopause anywhere between the age of 45 and 55. So it's a 10-year span where it's normal. Even 44, it's not abnormal. At 40, it's premature menopause. If you have, stop getting your period all of a sudden and you're 39, that's different. That's rare. It can happen. I have patients who see me with that, but it's pretty rare. But 51 is the average age. 45 wouldn't surprise me. Someone still having their period at 55 doesn't surprise me. 56, that's a little interesting, but not too surprising. At 60, that's we're going to work that up, because that's way past menopause. So really, that 10-year span between 45 and 55, 95 to 99% of the people are going through menopause at that time. Nowadays, people are talking a lot about menopause. In 1900, if life expectancy was 40, you're not going to have anyone going through menopause. They're not even making it to 45 or 51 or any age I just talked about. In 1950, life expectancy was 65. So women went through menopause at 55 maybe, and then they lived till they're 65. So you've got 10 years in this alternate reality, and that's okay. But now our life expectancy is, this says 83, depends on your family history, but life expectancy is about 80. Let's just say 80. So that's 30 years in menopause. That's 3 decades. That's a lot. Because you go through puberty when you're 12 and you finish when you're, so 30, you spend 30 years fertile and 30 years in menopause. I mean, you spend a lot of time in menopause. That's interesting. Women now live a third of their lives after menopause. So menopause is the change. Basically, your estrogen, which used to cycle very high, very low throughout the month, kind of went to very low all the time. And you don't get a period because you don't have that hormonal signal that tells you to get a period. It's just your body can't do it. You were born with a bunch of eggs in your ovary. You ran out of eggs. Now we're done. Here in this paragraph, it says, after 1 year passed since your last period. Yes. Before that was a transitional stage. We discussed that. It says that if you're like if you're still cycling and having hot flashes, that means that you might go through menopause in the next 1 to 2 years. That's what they say. I know lots of people who will flash for a decade. So it can be anything. You'll read things, but don't believe it. You could start, let me think, at 45, you could start having hot flashes, and then at 51, actually have your final. So that's 6 years you could be flashing before you actually go through, feel that you're in menopause. So most women are going to have that period of time I said where your cycles would be too heavy, too light, too close together, too far apart. Most women will have that. 10% will just have perfect cycles. One day they'll stop and then they're done. That's what we all imagine is going to happen. Many people come to the doctor, "Oh, my periods are too far apart. Oh, they've gotten really light. They've gotten really heavy. I need a workup." And I'll be like, "That's perimenopause, and there's things we can do, but there's not like a cure for that." And sometimes we'll check your thyroid or check some other types of hormones just to make sure nothing different is happening. But if you come to see me over 40 saying that there's something strange about your cycle, the first thing I'm going to think is perimenopause. So, what are some of the other symptoms besides hot flashes? I will put it to you this way: when you have plenty of estrogen in your body, estrogen had about 300 different jobs. It does a lot of things. It protects your microbiome, it helps your eyesight, your skin, your hair, your mood, your joints. Like it, everything, almost everything in your body that happens, it's because estrogen is there directing it. So you could tell me anything and it'll be a normal symptom. So if you do a menopausal questionnaire at your doctor's office, there will probably be 30 to 40 different symptoms on there for you to check. But here are my top 12. Irregular cycles, we discussed. Vaginal dryness. Estrogen is a very moisturizing hormone. So you'll find that as you go through menopause, your eyes might be dry, your skin might be dry, and definitely down there, a person can be dry also because estrogen was moisturizing. Now you have very little. Hot flashes, bone loss, night sweats. Hot flashes and night sweats are the same thing, really, but some people during the day don't have the hot flashes. Then when you get under the covers at night, it gets warm and you throw them off and put them back on. So night sweats are just hot flashes that happen at night. No, not a different mechanism. Sleep problems. Well, if you're hot every hour, you might have sleep problems. But in and of itself, your body not only loses estrogen, but it also loses other hormones. Melatonin is one of those hormones, and melatonin helps you sleep. So if estrogen goes away and you start flashing, you'll wake up. If melatonin goes down with it, you will have another reason to not sleep. But you have a few different things at play here to have sleep problems, which leads to a whole lot of other symptoms. Foggy thinking. Is that the low estrogen, or is that because you're not sleeping, or that because you're flashing? You're in a bad mood. Is that because you're not sleeping? Is that because you're flashing all the time and you're hot? Is it low mood just because the estrogen is gone? All of those could be the issue. So that's mood changes. Weight gain and slow metabolism. People who don't sleep might gain weight. People who have irritable moods and stress might snack more or eat more to help them with their mood or as a response to the stress. So weight gain can happen. But also, our metabolism slows when we're 30, then it slows a little more when we're 40. So for sure by 50, it was going to slow up anyway. But once our hormones, like our melatonin, our estrogen, our testosterone all drop, those are pieces of our metabolism. And then we try to stop eating because we think that will help. And it doesn't always help. That's because we've lost those hormones and we have not addressed that. Our hair can get thinner. As you lose hormones, one of the hormones we lose is testosterone. Men are hairier than women, they have a lot of testosterone. So that's one of the reasons our hair thins. And we already talked about the dry skin, and when we talked about the vaginal dryness, loss of breast fullness. So a lot of the things that happen during puberty unhappen during menopause. So your breasts start to grow when you're in puberty. they start to ungrow. That's not really a word, but they I don't want to say shrink. Sometimes they get bigger, but they just get less. They change their shape and the fullness and the distribution, and we look different. I'll just say that. We look different. And aches and pains. I discussed the dry skin and the dry eye, and we're dry down there. Well, in your joints, you have fluid also. And what if that fluid disappears? You have a lot of cracks and noises that you didn't previously make when you move sometimes. And that's an estrogen thing. And fatigue. One part of that's your lack of sleep, and part of it's just those hormones kind of helped you with energy and your thyroid. Even if you don't have abnormal thyroid, it can become challenged when you are aging and you be a little tired because your thyroid's not as efficient. And you have other hormones like DHEA, which is your adrenal gland. So during menopause, all of your hormones decline. We talk about estrogen, we prescribe you estrogen. We but estrogen is not the only thing that has changed. The whole system, all of your organs that you've had for a long time that have been producing hormones, all are older and all are less efficient, and they will change, and a lot of different things will happen when you have 90% less estrogen, half as much adrenal hormone, 90% less testosterone, a little bit less thyroid. You add all that up and you do not feel the same. And that is so you go to the doctor and tell them all these things and say, "Hey, what are we going to do?" And they'll say, "That's normal." Well, it's true that it's normal. And if you rely on only FDA approved drugs, there really aren't a lot of different things for menopause. After estrogen and progesterone, there just really aren't a lot of different things. Yeah, you have bone loss, which can happen whether you're in menopause or not, but there's not very many different drugs. But when we start talking herbs, so that's one of the reasons I got into started reading about herbal medicine because women were coming, I delivered babies in the past, and we know what to do about babies. When you do an OBGYN residency, they prepare you for that reality. And then when it comes to menopause, it's just like they'll go through menopause, give them Prempro, and then we're done. That's and then now you know everything I knew when I finished. There was really nothing to do. I mean, they got hypertension, they go to another doctor, then they get, all these menopause women start ending up on all these medications, and if they need this, something happens to their bones, then to the bone specialist and have them consult with this other person. So they were going to all of these different places. And I'm like, there is something about this menopause that's causing all of this. I can't just send them to 15 different doctors. I mean, what is going on and how do we can we manage this some other way without ending up on an antidepressant for the mood changes and a bone medicine for the bone changes and something for hot flashes? But then there was bad stuff about estrogen in the news, so they don't want that. And then here's a cream for vaginal dryness. Wait, it's messy. Here's irregular periods. Well, now here's some birth control pills. Well, we're not our husband had a vasectomy. We don't want birth control pills. And then weight gain. Oh, where's the weight loss pill? And so there's all these different pills they were ending up on for this set of symptoms. And, which was all fine and good because I can prescribe them. But then I thought, you know what? One day I'm going to go through that. And that doesn't look fun. I don't want this list of things. I don't want like pick one thing on this list that you actually want. Nobody wants anything on this. I wanted none of it. And the other problem was, women would come in for their routine well checkup. Emphasis on the word well. And, at the after they had their pap smear and breast exam, they would say, "Oh, can I ask a question? I'm gaining weight and I'm tired and I don't like having sex anymore." And I would tell people, you know what? If I could answer those three questions with any sort of reliability, I would quit my job and just do that for a living. And after I started studying holistic nutrition and naturopathic medicine and aromatherapy. I could address those things reliably, and I did quit my main job, and now that is all I do for a living is deal with aging issues and try to help people not end up on how many of this 12 drugs for 12 different things when maybe, one or two herbs will help them. This is just an infographic of all the different things that can happen. We talked about it. Hair, breast, skin, abdomen loses muscle tone. Yep. So we'll talk later about some of the lifestyle changes that'll help that. Here we go. Menopausal symptom timeline. We already talked about this, but I use this picture to point out something to you. I use this picture to point out one thing. So here at 50, you have your last period. Then other things start to happen. Vaginal discomfort, the dryness might start to make it where people need lubricant when they're going to have intercourse. Bladder discomfort. People might notice they have to get to the bathroom quicker, or they cough and sneeze and start to lose urine. Heart disease. Once you don't have estrogen to keep your blood vessels flexible, they get stiffer. Then it becomes more difficult for the blood to pump. Then you have hypertension, and then here's a medication. Then you've got osteoporosis. Well, estrogen was telling the calcium and magnesium and vitamin D to go into your bones. Now you do not have that direction any longer, and you start to lose bone. You actually start to lose bone when you're 35, but by the time 70% of us are 50, I can actually see it in a study. So when I see patients, they'll say, "Oh, I went through menopause. I had a couple of hot flashes. They didn't bother me. I had a great menopause." I'll be like, "Okay." So let's say this woman is 65 years old when she comes to see me. So you had a great menopause, right? So I'll say, "Hey, when you were 50, what did you weigh?" "Oh, yeah, 150 pounds." "Okay, what do you weigh now?" 200. All right. So there's one. Talked about the menopausal weight gain. Just because you don't have hot flashes doesn't mean you didn't have the other things on that list of 12. I was like, "So are you on anything? How was your bone density exam?" "Oh, there was some bone loss." "All right, you did that." How's your blood pressure?" "Oh, we're watching that. I'm not on medicine yet, but they're going to recheck it the next time." "Okay." Uh, how's your bladder?" "Oh, I only lose like once a year. I'm not really that worried about it." "Okay." How's having intercourse?" "Oh, I can use lubricant and then I'm fine." So she's got every single thing on the list of menopause but the hot flashes. So, I mean, a lot of times people don't recognize that some of the things that are happening to them are directly related to being menopausal. And then I help them recognize that they're menopausal, and let's see if we can find one or two or three things that can address these, even if we don't reverse all of these different changes. Can we keep them from getting worse? Because I know that if you walk in and you have three of the things on that list of 12, in a year you might have 4, and in 2 years you might have 6, and so I know that it's a progressive thing, and the sooner we start to address the situation when there's only 1 or 2 symptoms, we might be able to get not have that rest of that list of 12. So, right. So here, hot flashes are an indication of hormone instability, which leads to many other health problems. So the minute you have that first hot flash, and like I said, that happens a lot before menopause. Within the 5 years before menopause in general, you might start having hot flashes. That's the time to make a plan because those symptoms start to add up. So some of you might be saying, "What is a hot flash?" Maybe I've had one and I just don't know it. People say that to me all the time, like, "I don't know, did I have one?" I'm like, "Okay, first of all, they're hot. You're very hot. If you've ever had like a viral illness and gotten fevers and chills, well, you knew you had a fever. You felt it. Even if you didn't have like sweating, fevers. When you get warm, you know you're warm. You're like, "Hey, I'm warm. Feel my forehead. Do I feel right?" You know what I mean? So even when your temperature barely goes up 1 degree, you know to go and be like, "Hey, feel my forehead. Let me check something. I'm hot." But yeah, your temperature will go up a degree or two. It'll come right back down, but you're gonna feel it. A lot of women perspire, or some women will wake up completely soak their bed, have to change their clothes and their sheets and get back in bed and then do it again. So you'll know that you had a hot flash because it's hot. Everybody else around you won't be hot. It's not like it's hot. It's Houston in the middle of the summer and we're sitting outside in the sun. No, you're hot and everyone else is like, why are you saying that? Because we are fine. So you might turn red, you might sweat, you might feel like you just swallowed a match and then your whole insides lit up on fire and then it went away. Some people have their pulse will get a little high. You might have a cold chill after it. Some people don't. It's frequently hot enough to disrupt your sleep. Some people have mild ones that don't disrupt their sleep, but some women, especially if they sweat and their pajamas get wet, they will wake up. So they're hot. So you'll know. It won't sneak by you. Maybe I had them and I just don't know. No, they're noticeable. Even if they're mild, they're noticeable, but you might not, seek treatment for that. But once they become moderate to severe, severe means you either had it's very hot and you're sweaty or they're very, very frequent. So I've had people who have them every 15 minutes for like so and how long do people have hot flashes? I read a study in 7.5 years is average. Some women will have them for 1 year, 6 months. Some women will have them for 10 years. I've seen women go beyond 10 years, have them, they're 70 years old, still having hot flashes. They just got used to them and they haven't found a way to treat them yet. So, and I will post the link to a video. I did a whole video on different things. I went through all of these different studies and different products and looked at the data on how reliable they were at getting rid of hot flashes. So it's all stuff you can get over the counter. So hot flash. So here's menopause. See, these people are wearing earmuffs and scarves and she's with a fan and sweating and there's a snowman. That's a hot flash. You'll know. Earlier, I said if you start having a hot flash, well, in 1 to 2 years, maybe you'll go through menopause. No, hot flashes can appear up to 15 years before menopause. That is true. 85% of women have them. So most women will know what hot flashes are. Maybe 15% of them don't. 50% of them will have them 5 years after their last period. So I said the average age, average length of time is 7.5, but some will have more than 10 years. So it's not in one little box. In puberty lasts, it goes from like 11 to 19. So you got 8 years of puberty. So this whole menopausal transition is at least 8 years, but can be longer. As you can see, 15 years before, then you can flash 10 years after. You could have a whole 25-year trip of menopause, which is why I treat it because, like I said, you've got some issues going on with women that go on forever and ever and ever, and nobody has anything, but she can have Prempro for a minute. And so I didn't think that was fair, especially when all the low T centers started popping up. And I was like, man, you've got a low testosterone clinic on every corner. And for menopause, we have like crickets. There's not a lot of reliable information. So here's just a schematic of your estrogen hormone level, so, which I don't really think is all that accurate. I found it on the internet, but at age 20, she should be full. And age 30, she should be full too. 35, she should start to lose some because at age 35 is when you start losing bone. Then at 40, I think you're down here. Then 50, okay, this is about right. She's flashing. And then it gets worse and worse until you only have it in your feet. Well, that's not really true, but just saying estrogen deficiency. you just get less and less estrogen, so less gets done, and I can visibly see the changes in you. What are the options for improving hot flashes? There are prescriptions. We've all heard of estrogen. And I prescribe bioidentical hormones, but everyone who comes to me does not want estrogen. A lot of them just want to age better. Maybe they're not having hot flashes. Some people have family history that makes them not want estrogen. So I had to learn more than just, hi, here's your hormones. So I learned herbs. Herbs, when you see them in studies, they're usually being studied for mild to moderate hot flashes. So not women who are soaking to death and melting, just, mild to moderate. Some other prescriptions, there are some antidepressants that we use off label. There's also some antidepressants that have been branded for hot flashes. There are blood pressure medications that have been used off label for hot. So we use a lot of different things that we have found relieve hot flashes. So actual FDA approved prescriptions, herbs for mild hot flashes, off label prescriptions, some nutritional supplements, certain vitamins. You might have heard vitamin E, evening primrose oil, different things that might help a little bit. And vitamin C is another vitamin that I found that helps. And essential oils. There have been essential oils that have been studied and did salivary estrogen testing on people to see which essential oils increased estrogen. So it's not going to give you estrogen like when you were young. No, saliva estrogen is very tiny amounts, but there are some that will increase salivary estrogen levels. And I've used those in people just because a lot of people are on a lot of different pills, and some people are like, oh, I don't want another pill. And oils are easy to incorporate into your body wash or toothpaste or whatever you want to do with it. There's a lot of different ways to use different oils. And I have a whole video on that too. Somebody asked a question. I was sent some questions ahead of time. What diets or lifestyle modifications could be beneficial? We discussed that weight loss. I wish it was weight loss. Weight gain is one of the things that happens when people go through menopause. So, things that have been studied, vegetarian diets help in menopause, specifically for menopause, just because, our risk of different medical conditions increases, heart disease. So vegetarian diet has been studied for that, just to, if you have a family history of heart disease and you're in menopause, you might want to be proactive about changing your diet. Mediterranean style diet. Some people don't know what a Mediterranean diet is, but that's like how they eat in Greece. Lots of fish, lots of olive oil, they eat lots of plants, olives, green things. But look up Mediterranean diet. Lots of, and fish has fish oil, very anti-inflammatory diet. It's one of the longevity diets. So if you ever look up diets that help you live longer, Mediterranean diet is one of those diets. And even some other diets I've told people to do, I have people watch their carbs, look up things like the South Beach diet, some other types of low carb diet. Just as we get older, our ability to process certain foods just isn't that great, and we end up gaining weight because of it. So I'll have people look up different types of low carb eating. They have some different options. I have them focus on bone health, make sure there's calcium in your diet. If you don't tolerate regular milk, think about drinking flax milk, oat milk, almond milk, coconut milk, just one of those different non-dairy milk. I mean, now there's got a whole right next to the milk section, there's a whole lot of milk that are not dairy milk. Magnesium's good for your bones, vitamin D is good for your bones. A lot of times just drinking milk won't be a good enough way to get vitamin D. So I'll have people supplement with calcium, magnesium, or vitamin D if they don't feel like they can change their diet sufficiently. And also exercise, weight bearing exercise for your bones. So weight bearing exercise. would be walking, very easy. Anything that you're using your body weight to stimulate your bones to continue to grow, like if you were on a swing set, that wouldn't necessarily be a weight-bearing exercise, but if you were walking every day or lift some weights, just things that keep your muscles engaged to keep yourself from losing them. So those are some lifestyle modifications, food, supplements, weights, because you want to keep your skeleton. You don't want your bones to start hurting or fracturing, because then you will gain weight because you will not be able to move. All right. Someone asked about male menopause. Yes, they don't have hot flashes. So we don't really discuss male menopause. I mean, it's there. I mean, clearly we go through menopause, they go through menopause also. And theirs should be called menopause, but theirs is called andropause. Menopause, men. But let's see. Intimacy. Should menopause be the end of intimacy? No. And how can a couple increase libido? I did a whole talk on this, but in a nutshell, one of the biggest issues that I see in my practice is that as your estrogen goes down, well, let me back up. When you are fertile, every month you ovulate. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but during this time of ovulation, women are more agreeable to having sex. Or sometimes that's when they're like, hey, when are you coming home? That's when we're, going to be intimate. I mean, women, it's a time that your body, it's to your advantage to seek intercourse because you want to get pregnant. You know when this time is coming, even if you don't know and aren't aware of it, it's in nature's benefit to cause you to want to have sex. You might not want to have sex 30 days a month, but the 1 or 2 days or the week around your cycle is frequently a time that people feel more romantic. But you go through menopause and you do not have this monthly cycle. You do not have this monthly push to want to have intercourse. And this is normal, but it's also not favorable. Men can always reproduce. So men will always, they do not lose this signal. They go through andropause, their testosterone gets lower, they're less able maybe to have intercourse, but they still want to. They don't really lose the mental thought of trying to find you. Whereas women can lose the mental thought of trying to pursue that particular thing. But most women realize that they are still going to have to figure out how to engage with their husband. So menopause should not be the end, but things do change in both sexes. But women, because we undergo this vaginal dryness, sometimes there's a second thing. So first, you're not thinking about it as often. Second, it's uncomfortable now in a way that it might not have been in the past. So I first thing I do is address the vaginal dryness. I'm like, I can give you the best sex drive in the world, but if it really hurts you every time you have sex, that's not going to work. So I work on the vaginal dryness. That's actually not extremely difficult, especially if I'm using hormones and the person I give them hormones, their dryness resolves. Um, but there's also some things that are not hormonal that I have suggested. And one of the easy things I do if I'm prescribing is I give women testosterone. It is not FDA approved. It is off label. There is no FDA approved testosterone for women. Men can get it. That's why they're still running around with their Viagra and testosterone and having a great time. But women don't have as many drugs. Now, there are FDA approved drugs for female sex drive now. I don't use them a lot in my practice because the testosterone works pretty well. There are a lot of herbs. Some of the herbs that they suggest for men, like tribulus, ashwagandha, there's one called horny goat. So there are a few herbs that are suggested for men that have been studied in women. There are some essential oils that I have suggested to women, especially the ones that boost estrogen, like rose essential oil. There's another one, rose and geranium, the ones that smell like flowers. Ylang ylang is an aphrodisiac. So there's just a lot of different things that I will suggest to people to help with libido because that is an important thing to maintain. I mean, if we go through menopause at 51 and we're going to live until we're 81, it's not really practical to not have sex for 30 years. I've seen it done, but most people should gain control over that particular aspect before it gets out of hand and becomes a habit. So, some of the things that affect desire, your relationship. I mean, we have stressors in our life and things happen during the relationship. That's not my specialty. I don't fix that part, but I do address it. Hormonal changes we've been discussing. Some people might end up on medications. Let's say you go to a physician and you're in menopause and your mood's not quite great. They give you some antidepressants, and a lot of them will not be favorable for your sex drive or your weight gain. Some of blood pressure medicines can decrease blood flow and affect your sex drive. Certain medical problems like hypertension and diabetes. Diabetics have a lot of nerve issues, and if you can't feel things, then sex could be an issue. So let's see, fertility. So someone asked a question, how are certain women able to conceive post-menopause? All right. So once you've actually gone through menopause and had your final period and your ovaries don't have eggs, you aren't conceiving. If you do conceive post-menopause, there was something different about that was not a diagnosis of menopause. Now, during perimenopause, that remember that 5 to 10 years where your periods are weird, they might be too long, too short, too heavy, crazy, and you're in your 40s and you think, "Oh, that's I'm not going to have a baby." Those people can get pregnant. It should not happen, but in the course of 5 years, you're getting your period every once in a while, you could kick out an egg. Once you've gone through menopause, the definition of menopause is you don't have any eggs and you can't put out an egg. So after menopause, no, you will not get pregnant. Perimenopause, yes, you can get pregnant. So even that year, remember, once you've gone a year without a period, we say, oh, you're in menopause. Well, somewhere in the middle of that year, when we don't really know yet, you could still get pregnant. 51 is pretty rare for someone to get pregnant, but someone in their 40s or 45 or something, yeah, that could happen. Follow me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I did a video for a group of women who use essential oils on how to use them for sex drive. I can send anyone who's interested that link. Just like my Facebook doctor page, Dr. Camo, and send me a message and I'll send it to you. And then I wrote a book about all of my different protocols that I use that are natural for women who are aging. So it was great talking to you.